Boston Celtics suffer their first home loss of the season, a tough one in a great game against the Denver Nuggets. Jokic was a god. Murray was almost as good, and missed opportunities. All of those cost the Celtics here. It's a Locked On Celtics podcast bonus edition.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-Team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I've got you covered every day with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device. Bonus podcasts like this when the Celtics play on a Friday or a Saturday. This was a Friday night game at the TD Garden, and the Celtics lost to the Denver Nuggets. What a shame, but an awesome game overall, and nothing to be ashamed of. For those of you who are new to the podcast, I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Make sure you're subscribed on every podcast platform. Get into the YouTube page. Hop into the comment section. Let me know what you think. Bonus podcast, so it might be a little bit shorter here, but let's just dive into it. I'll talk about Derrick White later. I'll talk about the missed opportunities in a minute. But the overall, overarching number one thing to take away from this game is that Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray were better by a mile than Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Both duos took 43 shots. Both duos took 43 shots. Jayson Tatum took 24. Jaylen Brown took 19. Jokic took 22. Murray took 21. It's very apples to apples comparison. The Celtics duo missed 28 shots. Denver's made 29. So they were 29 of 43. Brown and Tatum were a combined 15 of 43. So right off the bat, you're just not going to win a game where Jokic is playing godlike basketball, was an assist shy of a triple-double. And Murray on top of it is having an amazing game. And Jaylen Brown can't hit a shot. He was 6 of 19, 1 of 9 from 3. And Jayson Tatum couldn't hit anything from 3. 9 of 24 overall, 1 of 8 from 3. Those are that right there, just telling you those numbers. I don't even know if you'd guess that this was a 2-point loss, that the Celtics had a chance to win, that they had a lead in with a few minutes to go. If I just read those stats off to you, you'd probably think the Celtics lost this by double digits. But Derrick White kept them in there in the game. Other players, it started off with Kristaps Porzingis, Derrick White later on. Other guys on the team made up for what the Celtics stars couldn't provide. Derrick White, 24 points, 9 of 18 shooting, 5 of 12 from 3. Porzingis, 6 of 11. Again, 11 shots, though he got to the line 8 times, so it's really more than 11 shots. But still, even if all 8 of those, I don't think they were all shooting fouls, but he just needs the ball a little bit more. We need to find a way to get him the ball a little bit more. But 21 points for him, 8 rebounds, a couple of assists. The Celtics took care of the ball. This is almost an impossible game to lose when you think about all of the things the Celtics did well. They took care of the ball. 3 turnovers to Denver's 11. Boston scored 17 points off of turnovers. So they held a 15-point advantage there. Boston didn't shoot particularly great from 3, 14 of 44, but Denver was 8 of 31. So Boston had, 6 more three-pointers, so that's an 18-point advantage there. They got to the line about the same, so they were 10 of 13. Boston was 10 of 14. The Celtics had 12 offensive rebounds, so they had the Denver got 3 points, 3-point advantage on second chance points, but the Celtics scored more points in the paint. There's going to be a lot of, they took so many 3-pointers, and there were a few 3-pointers late in the game where I think there might have been a couple of shots where they settled. A couple of stretches there where they got a bunch of offensive rebounds and they couldn't cash in, and they ended up settling for a couple of threes. But when you take 44 3-pointers, there's going to be some amount of settling involved. So that's something that I'm not too worried about. The Celtics got to the line more than the they got to the rim more than the Denver Nuggets. They scored more points at the rim than the Denver Nuggets. It's impossible almost to lose a game the way the Celtics did. But Denver was 16 of 25 in the mid-range and Boston was 4 of 12, right? The Celtics got to the restricted area 17 times. Denver only 9. Boston was 13 of 17 in the restricted area. Denver was 8 of 9. So all the margins, all the things that you want are things that the Celtics got. The only thing that they couldn't do is stop Jokic. Kind of flies in the face of turn him into a scorer, but he was both. He was a scorer, 34 points, a rebounder, 12 rebounds, and 9 assists. If you're going to turn Jokic into a scorer, the whole thing is you hope that he gets like 4 assists, not 9. But he's just too damn good. He threw one pass, I think it was to Porter. I don't even know how it got out there. He just makes passes. He's in total control. This is like, it's funny. I was looking up some of the things after the game and, for my writing. And it's kind of funny how Jokic and Tatum are on basically an extraordinarily similar trajectory, right? Jokic came into the league. It took him a few years to kind of get his footing. There was the battle with Nurkic. Remember, people might forget that Nurkic and Jokic started on the teams together. And there was at one point kind of like we need to get rid of one of these guys. And there was a notion like, well, just pick one of Nurkic or Jokic and we'll keep the other one. And I'm not going to say that's exactly how it went down when he got traded to Portland, but I do remember specifically the conversation of Denver needs to get rid of one. It's kind of a toss up at this point, and it really wasn't a toss up. But anyway, I digress. Denver keeps Jokic. He starts to blossom. He wins his first MVP when he's 25 years old, his 6th year in the league. Wins a second one the next year, and then after that is last season where he wins the title. And it's kind of funny that Jayson Tatum now is 25 and in his 6th year in the league, which is when Jokic wins his first MVP. Now, Tatum is not exactly in line to win an MVP right now because Jokic is playing the way he's playing and Embiid's playing the way he's playing. And you can make arguments for a couple other guys. Your same, typical candidates here, but still the point stands. Tatum is now at a point where he is the leader of a team, a championship level team. He is 25 years old and in his 6th season. And that's where Jokic first started to kind of feel himself and be the Jokic that we see now. So Tatum is still kind of like, this is kind of his breakout or expected breakout or next level leap. And this game was kind of a lesson to Tatum. Be like, hey, you know what? This is what it takes to be Jokic, to be that level, to take that step from in the MVP discussion to MVP favorite, right? In the MVP discussion means we're listing off 5, 6, 7 guys, and you're going through like the top guys, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, and then you're going to like, well, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Jayson Tatum and Luka Doncic and those guys. That's the conversation. That's the MVP conversation. What you want to be is MVP favorite, Jokic, Embiid, Giannis kind of guy. So this was a lesson of when everything was starting to, look their worst for Denver. Jokic, cool, calm, was never sped up, was always in control, had kind of, it just felt like he would, whatever he needed to do, whatever he wanted to do, he could do it. And he wasn't in a rush. Whereas Tatum, you look at the last 2 possessions, the last 2 shots that he took, Celtics get the rebound. off a missed Aaron Gordon corner three. There's 23 seconds on the clock. Tatum is bringing it up. He should see two guys in front of him. He had Jokic kind of on his side, like on his hip, kind of behind him. And instead of being patient and saying, okay, we've got 23 seconds. It's at that point, a 1-point game. It's a 1-point game. No need to rush. By the way, side note, that 1 point, you can go back to the stupid, dumb tech that Tatum got for hanging on the rim. Get rid of that dumb, stupid rule. I hate that rule. Everybody hates that rule. Tatum comes down. It has a full head of steam, gets hit midair. Okay, fine. You want to call principle of verticality? Fine. He still gets hit midair, and his momentum still takes him through the rim, and he swings. He hangs. He pulls himself up. Okay, he pulled himself up. It gave it a little bit extra. To give him a tech on that in that moment, are you kidding me? That's total crap. The NBA needs to get that tech out of this league. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants it. I've never seen a fight or an argument start from someone hanging on the rim. That's a rule that fixes a problem that doesn't exist. Side note. So the Celtics are down 1 instead of tied. And Tatum's bringing the ball up the floor. It's basically a 1-on-4. Now, I don't know if it was tied, if he would have just pulled it back, but he still should have pulled it back. Instead, he goes and he rushes, goes 1-on-4, gets kind of stripped from behind, loses control, gets control back. But at that point, he's flying forward. He puts a decent shot up off the rim, but it falls off. Aaron Gordon gets the rebound. Derrick White fouls him. So he's sped up. He's playing a little too frantic. Tatum and Brown have this habit still of falling into the pace of a game, falling into the kind of frantic nature of end of game situations. Whereas Jokic, the thing that he did the best is stay under control, stay calm, stay patient. He's not worried about the time ticking off the clock. He's just worried about executing, doing what he does, and that's it. And he executes down the stretch and calmly leads his team to wins. The Celtics get a little too sped up. At the end of the game, Jayson Tatum admitted, I went too fast. I thought I didn't give myself not enough time. I had more time than I thought. On that final play, the Celtics inbound, they call a timeout after they didn't get the play that they wanted. Then they get the ball inbounded to Tatum. He kind of takes a rushed turnaround fadeaway. He had more time than he thought. But still, he, wasn't under control. And that's the difference. And that's where Tatum needs to get to. It doesn't need to change a lot about his game. Just needs to play under control. Jaylen Brown, play under control. Be calm. When everything is starting to go crazy, you are the calm in the center of the storm. No problem. You gotta be the guy. If you're gonna be in that role, you gotta be the guy that steps up and is like, hey, be cool, my babies. I got you. Don't worry about a thing. 30 seconds left. I got you. Don't worry. Watch this. Not like, okay, give me the ball. I got it. Here we go. What am I doing? And they tend to do that a little too much sometimes. Not all the time. And so that's the difference in the game to me. The other difference in this game is the Celtics were unable to finish quarters strong. And this is a priority. This is a priority in the league. This is a priority for Joe Mazzulla. They didn't end quarters well. You have to finish these quarters and go into the next quarter with some level of momentum. You have to because if you build up these leads and then the other team goes into the quarter and feels good about themselves, then that just makes everything harder. And after the third quarter was over, I wrote in my Boston Sports Journal live blog, I was like, this by losing the non-Jokic minutes, which they did at the top of the second and the fourth, by losing the non-Jokic minutes and not closing quarters strong, I said that rarely goes unpunished. I kind of knew at that point this was going to be a hard game to win. And They didn't win it because of that. It's a real big reason. The Celtics had up 5. They were up 5 in the first quarter with a minute 45 to go. They finished the first quarter up 1. They're up 12 with 3.5 to go in the second. They finished up 6. They're up 9 with 3:40 to go in the third. They finished up 1. They're up 3 with 4:51 to go in the fourth. They lost the game by 2. At some point late in these quarters, the Celtics had leads that they couldn't hold. And that is, yeah, Jokic is there. Murray is there. They have something to say about this. The Denver Nuggets are the reigning champs, and for a reason. They're very good. They are a damn good basketball team. We saw why. So they have something to say about that. But the focus to end these quarters strong, to go out there and play with that little bit something extra, with that little bit of focus to say, okay, they scored a point, they scored a bucket. How do we come back? Let's just come back and score a bucket. Let's just come back and find a way to get a make. Don't get caught up in the flow. Just say, okay, that's great. We're going to come down. We got to make a shot. How do you finish a quarter strong so you can carry that lead into the start of the next quarter? Put pressure on the other team. That's what the Celtics didn't do. And that's hard. You have to be able to do that. The offense gets bogged down. And there's the game. You can't give Jokic and Murray, champions who know how to play under pressure, those opportunities. The end of the first, the end of the second, the end of the third, those were chances to build up double-digit leads, right? You go up 5, you go up 12, got to hold on to those because then the whole calculus of the game changes. I liked, just to go with some of the things that I liked in this game, I liked that the Derrick White was awesome. At one point, he got MVP chance. At one point, he finished a play late in the game, and Kristaps Porzingis came and kissed his bald head, which I appreciate. It's a nice, shiny bald head. Some that's made for kissing. So, yeah, sometimes you got to plant one on top of the bald dome. Derrick White was awesome. 24 points, 9 of 18 shooting, 5 of 12 from 3. 5 assists, 2 steals, a block, just 1 turnover. The Celtics had 3 turnovers. 2 of them were actual turnovers. One was a 24-second violation, a team turnover. So they had 1 turnover from Derrick White and 1 turnover from somebody else. From, who was it? Jrue Holiday, who did not play well for most of this game. He had a bad game too. You got great game from Derrick White, a good game from Kristaps Porzingis, who carried the first quarter. Bad games from Tatum and Brown, and a bad game from Jrue Holiday. They didn't win, like I said before, they didn't win the non-Jokic minutes at the top of the second and the top of the fourth. That's a Tatum thing. Tatum, that was an opportunity for Tatum to be like, I'm the man. This is my chance. Watch me cook. And really the formula for beating the Denver Nuggets is play them even when Jokic is on the floor, roast their bench. That's how you beat the Denver Nuggets. And if you don't roast their bench, then you're going to have trouble with Jokic and Murray. And this is what happened. But Derrick White was awesome. I thought that was good. I thought the Celtics did a nice job. I really thought at one point late in the third quarter, they spammed the Derrick White, Kristaps Porzingis pick and roll over and over and over again. And Jokic was out there having to defend it and having to switch. He was really huffing and puffing at the end of the third quarter. And I thought this is where the Celtics can really, they got Jokic kind of tired. This is your chance. And they couldn't finish that quarter strong. That really was where they missed the biggest opportunity. They went to White Porzingis pick and roll, and they missed shots. They missed a bunch of three-pointers, and they were good looks. I would say most of these three-pointers were good looks. They just couldn't get the shots to fall, and Denver just converted enough on the other end where they won the third quarter. That's where I thought they really blew this opportunity. Porzingis really made Jokic work. I thought that was really smart. They went double big for a lot of this. I thought that was good. Early on, before Horford checked in. They instead of bringing Horford in for Porzingis, they brought Horford in. They played him next to Porzingis, and I thought that was a good move that kind of helped the Celtics defensively. I thought defensively the Celtics were mostly fine, and you can chalk this up to Jokic was playing just amazing basketball, and not only that, this was an under kind of reported thing before the game, and I completely didn't think about this. The Golden State Warriors coach, Dejan Milojevic, was Jokic's coach in Serbia. This guy was a Serbian basketball star. He coached Jokic. He convinced Jokic he was NBA material. He's the guy that got Jokic kind of into NBA shape, that convinced him that the NBA could be a thing. He's as responsible as just about any coach, maybe more, for Jokic being what he is. And his passing this week is devastating to Jokic. So he came out and he wanted to play for his former coach. And so there's a little extra motivation there. So he was playing with a little something extra in this game. And, that kind of motivation is tough. The Celtics still had their opportunities, though. Even though Jokic was a god, they still had their chances. So it's not the worst loss in the world. I think this is they lost. The Celtics, this was an awesome game. They lost. You can chalk it up to Tatum and Brown didn't shoot well. Holiday didn't have a good game. And if they just had a normal kind of performance, it would have been fine. But they didn't. And Denver came in and did. They played great. Denver wins. Boston was never going to go perfect at home, so I'm not too worried about it. But still, lots of lessons to be taken from this. And, the key is to build on it. So, obviously not the best. You don't want to see the team lose. You wanted to see this home winning streak continue, but it's over. And now you build another home winning streak. That's how you do it. Now the Celtics head out on the road. I'm here at the TD Garden in one of the side buildings. If you noticed, I'm not in some prison that gave me a TV with a graphic with the Celtics and the Nuggets logos behind me. I'm at one of the cubby holes in the TD Garden. Now the Celtics head on the road. Houston, Dallas, Miami. I will be podcasting after all of those. Then the Celtics come back for 7 games at home. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll be here for all of it. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Bonus podcasts like this on the weekends when I need to do it. So anybody who's here, when they start this homestand, come by. Section 19. I'm going to be there before all the games. I'm usually sitting in my seat. If I'm not, I'm sorry. But a lot of people came by and said hi before this game. This was awesome. I love seeing everybody. So come do that. Section 19 here at the TD Garden. If you're here, if you're one of my everyday listeners, I'd love it if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.